All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of the Masterful Conversations podcast, where we learn about leadership from the men who have served or are currently serving as worshipful master in a regular lodge of free and accepted Masons. I am Brother Matthew Wagstaff, a proud past master of Eureka Lodge number 36 out of Rochester, New York. We're currently serving as my worshipful master is Brother Jermaine Myers. And I'm with
I am Past Master Mark Alexander from Sons of Kings Lodge number 123 out of Brooklyn, New York. Even though now I'm currently residing in the great state of North Carolina, but home is still Brooklyn.
absolutely. We both reside or both hail from the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge out of the state of New York. We're currently serving as our Grand Master is Reverend Dr. Darren M. Morton as our Grand Master. Before we introduce our guests, we got two guests tonight, so this is a special edition. It's near and dear to our hearts right now for sure. Before we introduce our guests tonight or today, we do have a quick disclaimer.
Relationship that this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not represent any views and opinions of prospective lodges or grand lodges. If you have any questions, please consult the proper offices in your prospective jurisdictions.
Absolutely. So with that, we'll get right into it because I got a feeling that this conversation is gonna go for a minute. So strap in, stay tuned. It's gonna be one of those nights tonight. So with that, I want to introduce first past master Gabriel Mitchell, who is the past master of Jephthah Lodge number 89 out of Harlem, New York. He served as past master in the years 2022 through 2023. He's also the first vice president of the first Masonic district of the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge in the state of New York. He's a past district deputy grand lecturer of the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge in the state of New York, and is currently the district deputy grand master of the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, state of New York, first district. Um, Outside of the Blue House, he's also currently the most excellent high priest or the excellent high priest of Mid Island chapter number 37 of the Holy Royal Archmasons, and an organizing member of Primus Hall Lodge under Dispensation, UD, as you can see on this title there. Also tonight we have past master Don Thomas. Past master Thomas is a past master of Huntington Lodge number 124 out of Babylon, New York, serving in the years 2022 and 2023. And he is also an organizing member of Primus Hall Lodge under Dispensation. Welcome, my brothers. Welcome, my classmates, to the Masterful Conversations podcast.
Thank you. Thank you
Greetings.
for having us. Greetings.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, yes. So,
Before you go into Matt, just like you mentioned, these are classmates. So this is firm biz right now.
Right.
Yes,
That, that
sir.
was that was
110%.
shout out to Milton who
Yes,
named our
Yes.
class.
yeah,
All four of us was worship masters together in 2022 and 2023.
yeah. Mike,
yeah,
Nate, yeah.
firm biz. This is a special moment for the podcast right now. First of all, we got two guests.
Mm-hmm.
Both of our guests are our classmates, so we have a shared experience about
Yes.
leading in the East during that time
Mhm.
period right after COVID. So this conversation today, I'm really looking forward to hearing about the conversation about the stories and the different perspectives about leadership. So I'm sure we're gonna have some things to talk about for sure. So as you know, Gabe and Don, we talk about leadership here. But before we get into the specifics about some of the questions we have, each of you just share a little bit about your journey to the East. So in terms of when did you get raised, what year did you get raised, and then a little bit about your journey moving through the chairs until you got into the East. So I'll start with you, Gabe, first before we go to Don.
So my journey is a little interesting because I came from international. So I came from the other side. So international free and accepted Masons. I was raised in 2014. So I was initiated in 2013, then went through the process, raised in 2014. Came over to Prince Hall in 2017 through the Grand Occasional. That was March 2017. And it was basically my whole lodge. We was originally known as Noble Brothers 43. Then we came over, we all joined Jephthah Lodge, number 89 of the first Masonic district. From that point, I was more concerned about learning the Prince Hall way. I had extreme study habits because that's what we did on the other side. We studied a lot. Like it was pretty intense. My main focus was understanding the Prince Hall ways, understanding the ritual, especially the decoding and the rules. So I was very low key in the beginning. It wasn't until it wasn't until 2019, right before COVID, where me and my good brother, my right hand man, Derek Gatson, we decided because we wasn't liking this what was going on in terms of it needed brothers to fulfill these seats. So we went ahead and decided to go ahead and step up. Instead of being on the outside complaining, we was like, let's get in the game. At that moment, we began our study habits where we wanted to make sure I was going for the junior warden station at the time, and he was going for the senior warden station. So we was practicing memorization to the point where we wanted to give it theatrical, not just on some just giving it to give it, but theatrical and showing that we understand what we was given or what we were studying rather. So we went and got elected that year. Then of course COVID happened. Everything is virtual for those 2 years. Interestingly enough, Derek he moved to Aruba, so hence that's why I jumped from junior warden straight to master in 2021 for that election time. And I must say, I don't think I've ever been like really brought up or focused on in the point of, to me, that was an interesting, rough year because you're talking about COVID, where we knew everything was virtual, shut down, list goes on, to where now we got to get back and create a new norm. So that was one of the main things that always stuck out to me of that bringing the brothers out, telling them it's fine, keeping the safety as y'all all know during those times and during those years. So it really showed the aspect of what was happening at that time. So of course went through those 2 years and it had my ups and downs, of course. The numbers visitations because I was out there traveling to various lodges throughout. I know I definitely wanted to get up to you, Matthew, come visit y'all up there in Eureka. I've
I'm
been,
holding you to that too. You got another chance in November. That's all good. We
of
got you.
course, of course. So, of course. So, and I was visiting Don and supporting him, visited Mark, supporting him because understood the task that it was only us traveling. Hence, that's why the firm was born because it was mainly masters traveling together, and we was supporting each other with the membership in our lodges. So we like every lodge meeting I had was full, full, full. So that's pretty much the gist of the journey to the east.
Appreciate that.
Right.
Definitely. Don, tell us a little bit about your journey to the East. What year were you raised and your journey to the East?
Okay, so my story is very, very short. Um, I was initiated, passed, and raised in 2019. My first appointment was Senior Master of Ceremony. Sat there, 2020, I'm sorry. Our Worshipful Master was suspended, so the Senior Warden acted as the presiding officer. He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and he asked me to sit in the West and finish off the rest of the year as a fill-in, and I did. End of 2020, he moved out of state, and being that we were going through COVID, we had to have a special election in April of 2021. So in April, our junior warden was then elected Worshipful Master, and I was voted in as the senior warden officially. In 2022, I was actually voted in as Worshipful Master, and I had the pleasure of serving with all of you fine gentlemen. Now, that was a super fast track to the Oriental chair, and I would not recommend that for anybody. Just putting that out there, because as a new Mason, I had to learn so much in such a short amount of time. So like I had to become proficient with the ritual, the Constitution and statutes, lodge bylaws. I had to learn the membership and become a leader of men. And at the time, I think I want to say our average age in our lodge, maybe 65, 70. It was up there. And I was 33 years old at the time. I was 32, turning 33. So like these guys don't take me serious. They don't look at me as a leader. You know what I'm saying? So like I had to overcome a lot in order to have the success that we had.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact of the matter is you had some success and it was recognized by our Grand Master. So, before we started on the line today, me and Gabe we were saying like, hey, we in the midst of greatness right now. We got 2 award-winning Worshipful Masters on the call right here, man. We got
Yes.
Sons of Kings award winners. We got
Yes, sir.
we got Huntington Lodge award winners.
100%.
Yes.
We're not gonna breeze over that. You put in that work being a
Appreciate
young
that.
Worshipful Master.
Definitely did.
Definitely.
Thank
And
you.
I took some pointers from you from the time that we had a chance to connect and have conversation. The things that you were doing, I'm thinking like, man, we need to be able to do some of that stuff up here in Rochester for real, because this is some cool stuff that I think brothers will resonate with and just kind of keep us together and moving to that next phase. So I appreciate that for sure. Mark?
Now, I'm definitely super proud of Don during that time, actually re-putting Huntington 124 on the map as far as getting out, and he got the brothers out galvanized, and they was out traveling all over the place. Every time you seen them, it was at least 6, 7 of them, and everything that they did. So that was definitely dope. And then it was culminated when they achieved and got Most Improved Lodge the same time that we got Lodge of the Year. So that was definitely a dope thing.
Yeah. And also too,
Yeah.
didn't you guys win like I think I saw in like one of our Worshipful Master chats, you got Huntington Lodge was winning the trial award. Didn't y'all have the trial?
Oh,
so-
no, traveling trial.
The traveling trial. Didn't y'all win
They
that?
started in it, right?
I actually
Started
started
that.
that.
That
So the
is
traveling
Yeah,
trial.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the traveling trial was something that I created to promote traveling amongst lodges, not just in the 4th district, but throughout the jurisdiction. So, I had a little golden trial. I put it in a nice little box, and I had I don't think I had Huntington Lodge. Well, it was stamped in the back. It had like Huntington logo stamped in the back of it, but it looked nice, So the whole idea behind that was if you come to my lodge with 6 or more brothers, you take the traveling trial home with you. Now that's going to promote for me to get my brothers rallied up to go try to get it back, or whoever else wants it, So it promoted friendly competition, bringing brothers out. It made traveling fun again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it went back and forth a lot between Worshipful Master Gary Vaughn out of Lebanon 54 and Claude Addo out of Progressive 64, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we had some good times with it, It definitely brought brothers out and made traveling fun.
Yeah, yeah. I wish y'all have brought that to Rochester. Y'all wouldn't have got it back after that. We would have had if he stuck in Rochester.
You'd have had to come get it. That's how it was.
Yeah.
It was funny. I had a similar idea in the 2nd district when I was president, but it was worked a little different. It wasn't really galvanized it wasn't set up for like lodges to compete against each other. It was more of an individual thing. Now that when I was president, I had made up, right? I was trying to get brothers at least to get around the 2nd district. So if brothers would have completed and visited all the lodges in the 2nd district, they could have had a little like stamp thing, and they could have brought it back to the district, and they would have got a gift. They never followed through with it, but that was the idea.
That's still a good idea. It promotes travel.
Exactly.
Knowing your district, getting familiar with the people, and you guys all share the same building, so like everybody should be supporting each other, in my belief.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. So as this show is definitely about leadership, one of the keystone questions we have is, what is effective leadership? So I want to start with Dawn. What you see as effective leadership?
To me, effective leadership is adaptability. So it's being able to take a blended approach to the different leadership styles, right? So you have to understand like when to be stern, right? It's about knowing when to inspire your membership. It's knowing your membership, right? Empowering them and being able to manage different personalities. I have 5 keys to effective leadership that I believe give anybody a heads up with their journey in leadership. So it starts with planning, and that's having a vision of where you want the lodge to be in the future. Promptness, adhering to deadlines and beginning meetings on time so that you're not wasting brothers' time. So they're coming out and they know that the meeting's going to start promptly on time, and it's not going to be drawn out all night. So it gives them a reason to come out. Organization is just having a roadmap to achieving your goals, right? And this also ties back into planning. Inspiration, knowing your members, what are their strengths, right? And it's also leading by example. And then encouragement. So it's not looking for praise as the master or the leader. It's giving your members tasks that align with their strengths, setting them up for success, and then being their biggest cheerleader. Right. So those 5, again, just to wrap up, those 5 keys are planning, promptness, organization, inspiration, and encouragement. To me, that's effective leadership.
Look, he was planned out right now. He was playing for the question.
Oh,
You know, he was like,
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Hey,
you know what it is?
I can show you better than I can tell you. Let me showing it. I love it.
Exactly.
So I've been watching previous episodes, and I really didn't want to recycle the same information.
Nah, that's dope.
You know?
That's dope. Definitely. Gabe, what you got for that?
I don't know how to follow behind that, but
I'm glad y'all called me first.
For defining effective leadership, during the tenure of the years, I started studying what it is to be a leader. And one thing that stuck out to me is I was listening to Simon Sinek. He's one of the motivational speakers, great speaker out there with leadership. And he told of a story about Nelson Mandela, because he's regarded as one of the greatest leaders. And one key thing that Nelson Mandela did was to be the last to speak and give undivided attention. So many times it was always seen how everybody, like a master's quick to say something and then hear the brothers. It's like, no, it was a reverse. So I started implementing that in my own tenure of being the last to speak, listen to everybody in the room, give them my undivided attention, and then address everything that a member was saying at that time, to where I wasn't given like a nod while listening. Like I was really focused in on them and practicing that, because there's always say you learn to listen, but never to learn to speak last. So that's something to me of effective leadership. Be able to be the last to speak, give undivided attention to your members.
Yeah, 100%. It's always something I was even kicking with my son. There's a difference between listening and hearing. So you want to make sure you actually listening to your membership and understanding what they're trying to say. That way you can take what they're saying, it can fit into your plan and things like that. And they'll feel like they have an input within the organization and motivate them to want to give more if you actually listen to them and not just hear them.
Yeah, and that was always the main goal. And they felt like they was a part. They felt like you wasn't like a dictator and you just wanted to go your way, like, but they felt involved. So
that gives them ownership when they have involvement. They take ownership of it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a key point too about leadership too, that I continue to learn that every single day, just in my professional life and in the lodge, is like the brothers don't want to necessarily follow your vision or your plans. They want to feel like it's their plan that they actually are executing. So to the extent that you allow them to add to your thoughts, your trestle board as a master, the better. So it becomes everybody's plan. It's not just the master's plan, master's trestle board. John Maxwell, he's another one of the sort of leadership gurus, and he'll come out and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm hearing or I'm seeing. Help me make it better. And actually asking the folks who are with him to say, I need your help. Can you help me make this better? And so exactly that point, being able to listen to them, have the foresight and the planning in place, the encouragement, the empowerment that you talk about, Don, as well. So all those things make a ton of sense. I'm curious now about getting into your time in the East, and for those 2 years, sharing a couple stories about Like what were your areas of focus? Like what did you want to focus in on as worshipful master for those 2 years? And then any stories that may be helpful if you got a master that's in the seat now, if you got a junior warden or senior warden that's aspiring to get into the seat. So let's just talk about the things that you focused on as worshipful master. We'll start with you, Gabe.
So each year it was something different, honestly. The first year was to get the brothers back out, seeing that aspect. It was like really understanding the room, understanding the problem, and what's the solution to it. And that was the focus for that first year of first. I know I always remember our first meeting was in the Order of the Eastern Stars room, because I believe the blue room at the time was still being worked on, if I remember correctly, or whatever was happening. But really promoting that each time, staying active with the brothers, promoting that, making sure the meetings was efficient. That was another key thing, making sure I start on time, because I used to always get there 2 hours early. That was just my ritual.
Mm-hmm.
I would get to the lodge meeting 2 hours early. I will play music, like classical music, and I would burn incense, because that's always that incense we burn up and brings the that unction of God in that room, or the grand architect, or whatever you may call it, in the room. And I will set up the large room. But while I'm setting it up, I'm going over everybody's part. So I'm starting from the worshipful master, as if the senior waters now doing the senior waters part, the Tyler's part, junior deacon's part. And I'm envisioning it of how the meeting is going to be, to where once the meeting starts, the atmosphere, the tone is already correct, is there. And I already envisioned how the meeting should be. So we're now start on time. If a person missed the line or something, I give them the word so we can keep flowing and going. And then once that ceremony is done, then the agenda, I always have my agenda written out before the meeting, and never prolonged it at all. That's why I'm always grateful for the experience as junior warden. I learned all these things as well. So that was the main focus for that first year, of bringing the brothers back out, having efficient and effective meetings, that they're not there all day, to where they want to come back the next month. And I started implementing a given light, making sure in the midst, giving some type of light, whether it be the Constitution, the uses and customs, or something from out the ritual every meeting. The second year now, I went back, sat down, and re-evaluated what is the problem now, to give that solution. And to where I realized I needed help with teaching leadership, because I realized myself of different aspects of needed to learn what it is to be an effective leader. And that year, we did I did a collaboration with Adelphi Union, where we was able to bring up past master Damian Jack, and shouts out to him. And that was a great meeting. And then I started a leadership uh, lecture series, where my first guest that came in was Most Worshipful Grand Master Dr. Darren Morton. He was the first. Then my own past master, Right Worshipful Sean T. Blunt. Then ended off with Most Worshipful Past Grandmaster Gregory R. Smith Jr. And they came willingly. They gave a lot of information, where it was teaching the brothers, because I was like, that was needed right now, because this is my exiting year. So I wanted to make sure who was coming behind me, and also the brothers that was present that might be coming up behind me, they know, they understand what it is to be an effective leader. So hopefully those tools was added. And even to the point where most worship, and because I gave them an idea of what to bring as a lecture. And another part was also public speaking, how to be a good speaker while conducting the meeting, because that's also part of the formula of having an effective meeting, knowing how to speak in an open space. So he brought knowledge on that, and also how to carry emotion. So it was given a tool. So that was more of a tool given year before I exit out.
Yeah, how was it received by the brothers of your lodge at that time in terms of participation?
It was received great. It was like by far, was every meeting was full with visitors and our own brothers. And interestingly enough, shout out to my we call him sleeps, because he be sleeping all the time, brother Tanner. But it was a compliment. But truthfully, this was a compliment where he said every meeting that I had while I was in my tenure, he never fell asleep because it was that exciting. You know, he was
Mm.
taking something, he was
Nice.
learning something. So to me, that was one of the greatest compliment to
Mm-hmm.
to have. So the brothers was taking it, understand it, and they wanted to come to a meeting now. They wanted to learn. They wanted to see who was the next one. I even implemented back in the first year the rededication obligation because it's been some years that we haven't done it, and I was like, that was my main goal to start that back up because every year we need to reobligate ourselves. We need to reobligate ourselves back to the work, back to the craft, to where we understand the aspects and don't forget why we came to this organization. So they received it tremendously, tremendously to where I still, time to time, give advice or go over little things. So it's always that bond, and it was the greatest bond we built during those times.
Yeah. And how many brothers were in your lodge at the time we were master, roughly?
So roughly it was about 70, and on average it was probably about 15 that came out, at
Yeah.
least 15 or something like
How
that.
it is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Good.
I always know it's like that percentage. It's not because we have a lot of old members too. We had a lot of members that lived out of state, and unfortunately, too, that second year, uh, we had members that passed away. We had two members that passed away during that year, and really was the responsibility and made sure that there was one we was able to send off. The other one we wasn't able to because he was like in Florida, I believe it is. But it was about 15 that always came out.
All right, great. So year one was about getting brothers back into the fold and then making sure you when they did come out that you were honoring their time by being effective and efficient in your meetings. And then year two was really trying to prepare and groom the next generation or the next phase of
Right.
leaders in the space. It's fantastic.
Right.
Good stuff. Stuff.
Before you move on to Dawn, I just want to put a note to what Gabe just said as far as like somebody being out of town. I'm not sure what the situation was. I know sometimes, things happen, but for the listeners that may not know, luckily enough, and most of the time, since we all regular Masons, we can find another lodge in another state that we have recognition with, and if they could work it out, they could do the burial for us, so that brother can still get his Masonic service no matter where he's at. So that's one of the definite benefits of being a regular Mason. That if you do go out of state, you still can receive that reward for all the work that you did that you definitely deserve and get your service.
Yeah, that's a great point to remind us.
Yeah.
All right, Don, for your 2 years in the East, well, what did you focus in on?
All right, so my first term, my focus was reestablishing the lodge. Uh, we had a lot of tumult going on at the time. There was a big divide between the brothers. Like the note taking, the bookkeeping, like everything was in disarray. So we we cleaned house, man. We did something completely like out of the norm. We sat the past masters down. We got like fresh eyes in those seats, took them to mid-year. They went to those classes that we used to offer for the secretary and treasurer. Got brand new books, and we started everything fresh. We had to reestablish the bank accounts. We had to recreate our 501c3. Like I rewrote the bylaws. Like we really just had to recreate the lodge and get a fresh start. And again, bringing the brothers back together. That was the majority of the first year.
Yeah, man.
The second
That's
year,
that's a big
Way
load,
more
bro.
than enough.
That's heavy right there. That's a lot.
Look, you started a brand new lodge, so you know about the EP process.
yeah. So like we had to drop a lot of dead weight. So initially, I think we had 2020. We might have had like 42 members in 2022. Dropped a lot of the dead weight, but we also brought in members. So we maintained about 35 members over the 2 years. Focused on establishing relationships with the brothers that I may have never met, you know. So that first term, I actually called everybody on our rolls and just checked in on them. Didn't make them feel pressured to come to the lodge or support our next item on the trustful board. It was just like, hey, how you doing? I'm checking in on you. You know, I just want to make sure everything is good. Just making sure that they knew that the brotherly love was still there. Yeah, so that was 2022. 2023 was more so trying to like put my own spin on things. Started getting fancy, kind of like Gabe, like my meetings, more so towards the end. Like I was playing ritual music during the meetings real low. I was burning incense during the meeting, just trying to engage the senses of brothers. You know, making sure like our ritualistic work was really on point. Again, keeping up with being visible. Like visibility was like one of the biggest things that I focused in during the 2 years, because coming in 2021, like nobody really knew Huntington Lodge. So as soon as I got my third degree, like I hit the ground running and I went visiting lodges by myself. And then eventually that turned into me, Joe Cortez, who is currently the worshipful master of Huntington Lodge, and the senior warden, Chris Ortiz. We would hit the 4th district. We would go everywhere. And then I was traveling by myself across the district lines to come see the brothers at Sons of Kings. Me and Mark had a relationship, so that was my tie over there. He actually acted as a mentor to me, so like I had to come support. I learned a lot from that brother there, so I appreciate you. And then we got some brothers in Huntington that started rolling with me too. Like Reese Baker was always by my side. Patrick Powell, like you wouldn't see me somewhere without Reese. That's my right-hand man. So we would go everywhere. 3rd district, 2nd district, 1st district. We was all over, everywhere we could be. So like visibility was huge. Just getting the name Huntington out there, because a lot of people told me, oh, prior to you, like I've never heard of Huntington Lodge. So I wanted to make sure we maintain that standard of visibility.
Yeah. And did the jerseys come out under your administration?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Look,
sir.
they got the home jerseys, they got
sir.
the away jerseys, they got the
Yeah.
alternate home jersey. I was like, man, they got all
We had
type of
3 of them.
flavors.
They got a whole clothing line over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember they had showed up to our boat ride with the jerseys on or whatever. So
That was a
Reese
special edition.
Reese had a jersey and the back it had light. It just said light. Like you really want me to mess with you with that jersey? But I said, I'll leave you alone. I ain't gonna mess. I know you're just having a good time. I'll leave you alone. But yeah, but you mentioned a mentor who will lead to the next question. And both of y'all was kind of new in the craft. So who were your mentors in order to help you get through this process while you was in the East and going on to the East and even to now? The names you want to mention.
So you want me to start it?
Yeah, start with Don. Yeah.
All right. So as we were coming through the chairs, like you were definitely a mentor to me. Gabe acted as a mentor to me. Like I learned a lot from you guys as far as administrative things and, just the principal way of doing things. But as far as like Huntington Lodge, like Right Worshipful, Kelly Shepherd was in my corner from the time I got my 3rd degree till I got out of the seat. He really steered me in the right direction. Whatever questions I had, like he really supported me. So I respect him for that. Along with him, Right Worshipful Nabar Colbert out of Doric 53. When it comes to, Gabe mentioned theatrics earlier, when it comes to like ritual work, like Nabar knows how to put it on, and he was working with me as I was learning the ritual, and he was pulling that out of me, the theatrics. So that was one of my go-tos when it was time to learn a new part. Les Moore, if I had any questions about anything, I know I can go to Les. And Right Worshipful Gabby Davis, even though we didn't have a personal relationship at the time, he was doing those worshipful master workshops every Sunday.
Yep.
Man, if it wasn't for those classes, I'd be lost. Like every Sunday, I used to work security.
Okay.
But like, I would make sure I was on those calls every Sunday. I wouldn't miss 1 week. So shout out to him for that. I greatly appreciate those classes.
Yeah, I automatically thought of him when Gabe said he was writing down everything for the agenda. That was one thing he definitely made sure we all knew for that.
Yep.
Gabe, who you got?
Yeah, my list is could be a little lengthy, but Of course, Daquan Elamine, he was the one that really helped and showed the way. And even to the point, he gave me the opportunity to showcase in my first grand occasional, doing the third section, and then even to the point where I did the third section of the installation in election time before I even came out the seat of master, because to help cover. So him, past Grandmaster George Brown, past Grandmaster Walter E. Jackson, always love the knowledge they have and always give, and they was always willing to give to me, and I always love just to sit and listen, to where you got to know where you came from to know where you got to go. So it was like those pillars of wisdom. I always just was around them all the time, and even to this day, all the names I'm gonna say, they still to this day. Of course, Right Worship Sean Blunt, past master from when I was in Jephthah, of course. Like he was there guiding me, showing me things. I always would lean on him. He was one of my advisors, of course. Uh, so he really prepared. Past Master Darrell White, he was my first worshipful master from the other side. So he gave me the foundation grounds. And even to this day, call like whenever things is done. Also, past Master Henry Barrows from the other side too. They both here. They're on this side. We all came over, but they still give guidance. Always was there. Most virtual past Grandmaster Greg Jr. Him, I'll never forget when he was deputy, and Don touched on it, where he one jewel he gave me. He was like, "You got to be a manager of different personalities." And I really took that and really saw everything of at a different level of personalities, and I started to see. I was like, oh, okay, this brother has this personality, this one has that. I gotta go this way, So he gave that jewel. Our current Grand Master, most virtual, Reverend Dr. Darren Morton. Like when I called him, because we really built a connection last year. I know for sure I was familiar with him, but last year I invited him out to, no, the year before, I'm sorry, 2022, I invited him out to our dedication reobligation. It was a packed house. He came, and I did the third degree obligation. And from that day on, it was just like he took me underneath his wing, by far, to where he taught me, showed me, and I took a lot from him in terms of watching how he conduct the meeting, by far. So I always appreciate him. Of course, past Master Matthew, like I'll never forget a conversation we had and during his time, because I was getting the burdens of a master was weighing on me heavy, because it felt like I was by myself. And I never forget, I was talking to him, and then he was telling me about his situation where his treasurer and secretary wasn't present at meetings, to where he was the treasurer and he was doing the minutes of the lodge, and
That's a
his
whole
mouth was
conversation.
God
Oh,
bless
they
you.
did, oh, you did. Oh, sorry.
I'm getting triggered right now. So,
Yeah.
so just
I'm telling you, that's what I said. It's gonna be a good night. So we, and I called him. He was telling me that, but the key thing was he still had a smile. Like he was just saying, "Well, we gotta still move forward. Still gotta stay focused, move forward. What's the solution?" He didn't dwell on no problems. It was like, what was the solution? And the solution was just get it done. And he reunited me. He like sparked me. I was like, and I'm complaining over here. Now let me get back to it. To where I had a meeting where I had to do the minutes because my secretary wasn't present at that time. And these last three are honestly my foundation. Uh, Honestly, they're my foundation from junior ward until now. And that's Roy Russell, Gary T. Davis. Of course, I came to him when I was a junior warden, and I wanted to learn the Constitution, the uses and customs, the difference between the two, the funeral rules, the just every like anything you name. I have a whole booklet. He used to send me so many docs, and studying to prepare to be master. We used to have Zoom calls every Friday. Every Friday we used to have a Zoom call, and we go over the literature. And to the point we used to call it the dojo. He used to call me, and he was like, "Spit it." and I have to spit it right then and there. So when I was preparing for the third degree obligation, it was so crazy. And some people may think it's like it's on some beyond, but he'll call me, and the obligation has 10 furthermore. So he'll call me and he'll be like, give me number 7. Now I got to give him number
Wow.
7. He'll be like, what's number 1? I give him number 1. He'll be like, what's number 5? I'll give him number 5. He'll be like, give me number 4. I'll give him number 4. Then he asks me, how many more you got left? And I got to tell him what I have left. So
Yeah.
that's how crazy it was, that it helped me so much to where I could go forward, backwards. I used to do it backwards, even with the opening and closing. He will start it off and stop, and I got to pick it up. And he'll tell me to stop. He'll finish, and he'll start, and then he'll stop. Or he'll say a word. I gotta now figure out what word that was and start from there. So Gary, he's a part of my foundation. The Deputy Grand Master, Gene Apollon, he was another one from the beginning. Like everything that I needed to know, he was there to give it, and he was always the greatest support. And the one thing I always loved about him, even to this day, is he's genuine. If he's there for you, he is genuine for you. And he's been behind my back. He's been pushing and supporting, and also giving me knowledge of the structure of the organization. And he'll tell you if he don't know, he always directed me to who to go to. So it was always between Gary and Gene. I got the best of everything because Gene gave me the structure of the organization, especially as moving up into the Grand Line and just understanding when it came to like Roscoe and all those other things. And Gary gave me the understanding of the Constitution, the ritual aspect of study, uses of cut, everything. And so it was like a beautiful thing. And then finally, my actually from beginning time to where he taught us every single thing to what I am today is Past Master Nathaniel Way, my past master. And we call him Doc. He is the one that taught us. We knew more about Prince Hall before we came to Prince Hall because of that guy. You know what I mean? He taught us everything. He's my actual foundation ground of Masonic knowledge to where that's why I always have a Bible, a dictionary, and a ritual all next to each other because it may be words I don't understand. I have the dictionary to break it down. The ritual, there's something of a biblical sense. I look it up in the Bible to now, okay, this is the connecting dot. To where now I have a huge understanding of the ritual to where if we want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation and not on like a outside frame or anything like that. So I always give credit to him in anything I do, any speeches that I've done, I've been blessed to do and been able to do because he really gave that. So those are my mentors, my mentors.
Man, that's the list right there. Now, I just want to make sure I recap this. This is the ritual, the Bible, and the dictionary.
Correct.
That's a visual I just had in my brain right now. Like those 3 things is right next to each other. So, everybody that's listening right now, getting in that work, because it's true, especially when you get into stuff like the funeral, the words that you see and then the passages, those sort of things is all connected for sure. And it helps you understand it. It's not just being like we say, parrot mason, just repeating what you read, but you actually understand where it comes from for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Because also it's like, you know how to apply it to your life now too. And now you actually live in the ritual. Now you're a walking ritual. That's how we should be.
Yeah.
So we live in those aspects. We live in those precious tenets that's given to us instead of the opposite. But, leave that.
Right. Well, speaking of the precious tenets though, too.
Real quick, Matt, before you move on. Yeah, I know who I am. What's going on in your background, Gabe? What is this in the background?
You already know.
Yeah.
Well, I got the All-Stars on today, so I had to make sure I come right with the background.
I don't get the connection. What's the connection? I don't know. You losing me right now. It's
No, nothing big. Just a black lion in a crown.
Okay. All right, I got you. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Simple. Nothing, deep or anything.
Yeah. You just saw a
Mountains.
picture. You like, yeah. I got you. All right, cool.
Like kings, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got you. All right, you gotta ask, man. Y'all know me.
Oh man. All right. So, speaking of those principal tenets, but also leadership, What I think what I'm feeling from both of y'all in terms of the stories you told is that old parable about uh when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And a lot of times we try to make men leaders that aren't ready to be leaders. Um, it seems like sometimes you try to spark a fire in a wet log, respectfully, right? So it's like, I really want you to be a leader. I really want you to do this. I really think you should do this, but they're not ready for it yet. I don't hear that from either one of you. I feel like you came to the table with some energy, the enthusiasm, the willingness to put the work in, like just the excitement about masonry and the craft and doing good work. And so sometimes, that's a key ingredient. Like most times, that's a key ingredient is having that internal motivation and inspiration. I don't know if you feel the same way. If you say, "Hey, I came with that spark." I mean, a lot of people that we interview so far have come with that energy, that spark, and that's what's kept them even when they get frustrated. I'm curious if you feel like you came with that spark, or did somebody have to ignite that spark in you? And then as a leader, do you feel like you have to pump people up, in your lodges in order to do it, or do you feel like you have brothers who come with that energy oftentimes?
Gabe, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Interestingly enough, before I even came into the chair, I was counted out. Like they, because I guess because I came from like basically from the northeast corner, as we term, but left field in layman terms, where they didn't really see me as a leader because like this quiet guy,
Mm.
who is he? And I just used that as motivation. Like, somebody pointed out my like I guess a gift, I guess, but one is uh my mind. Like when I lock in on something, is no turning back. Like when I focus on something, that's it. So I didn't allow that chatter to discourage me. So I had that inner, I built my own that drive, and especially with my right hand man Gatson, where we was able to feed off each other, and to the point where I was able to stand on my own 2 feet. To when he moved, when I was in that chair, and when I was in the chair, I didn't really focus on who wasn't there. I focused on who was there, and who was ready to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always my biggest thing. And I was feeding. And one thing I learned about as a leader was we set the tone. Hence, that's why I made a ritual of starting early, 2 hours early, and getting the atmosphere ready for whatever was coming in. And all the members, they could feel the energy because we could change the energy, we could change those things. That's a real thing. So I just focused on that, and just because of that focus on that, on the positivity, focus on who's there, it started to attract everybody else that wasn't coming out like that, to where now they were starting to come out more. And
Mm-hmm.
I just kept that as my viewpoint. I would admit it was one point where it did pierce the armor, because it in the point of I wanted to quit. I did. I wanted to quit in my first year because of just the battles of the past masters at the time, and they didn't really see what the vision I was trying to bring, and it was almost feel like it was like for self, but I was trying to do everything for the lodge. I was traveling a lot, being creative. I was bringing different ideas, sparking the lodge, created coins, investment coins,
Mm-hmm.
silver, never been done. Created pens and just really active to where it was looked at. I was just doing it for my own gain. And it was like, you don't really know me then. And it just felt like it was going after my character. Um, I don't know. Gary Davis had to talk me back on the ledge. Sean Blunt had to talk me back on the ledge. And even Gene Apollon had told me back on the ledge, to where it made me learn. It made me a stronger leader. Because I'm like, if I can't handle this, how can I move forward and be an effective leader if I can't face or handle triumph, difficulties, or all the boulders in the road?
Mm-hmm.
It made me stronger, because then I started using that as fuel to move forward, instead of just pouting or whatever the case may be, or
Mm-hmm.
like quitting. No, I use it as fuel but also the fuel to learn. I'm like, all right, since they said this, I'm gonna work harder. I'm gonna critique this. I'm gonna listen. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna go ahead and bash them. No, that's not me. That's not the point. The point is for the lodge. I want to be a better man because it always says make good men better, and that's what happened for me in that time frame. So
I mean, it goes with the saying, obstacle is the way.
yeah,
That's what
Yes.
it is, you know.
correct.
Then can you just I know you kind of breezed over real quick because it's something that a lot of lodges have coins, but your coin is a little bit different. Can you just add on, explain about your coin a little bit?
Yeah, so my coin, it was a vision I had for the lodge because to be something out the box, where we always have the challenge coins, we call it. So I created was called a challenge investment coin, where it was the design of the lodge, and it was the 75th anniversary, but also it was made out of pure silver, to where now you have a history of the lodge, celebrating 75 years, but also you have a medal that's going to grow with the market. Because I wanted to give back to the brothers in the terms of have them understand financial literacy with just simply medals, and how now whoever owned these coins have an investment to where, say like somebody don't know what masonry is, but now you have it because of the metal that's inside of it, to where a coin collector will still take that because of its silver, you know what I mean? So it opened up the door tremendously now to more buyers. We sold out like within that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy enough, again, like everybody didn't really see it, and I just still went ahead and pushed it because the vision, and I had
Mm-hmm.
to understand the vision came to me, not the body. It's up to the body to believe in me and from my work. And once it came out, everybody was loving it. It brought, I know Mark, all y'all on the line, Don, Matthew, y'all all support it. I always appreciate y'all for that, but it was made out of pure silver, 0.999% silver. So you have an investment. I think the market now is like $20 for an ounce or so, or whatever the case may be. And at that time it was probably like 17. So whoever has it made $3 or so. And you know,
You
so
go.
that's yeah. So, always want to go ahead and enrich people, create something new. So yeah.
That was
Yeah.
definitely dope. A lot of my challenge coins I actually donated back to the Grand Lodge Library from a historical point of view,
Mm.
so that they can have it there or whatever, so they can see what different lodges have. I never did the write-up for each coin. I gotta still have to do that, but I did donate it to the lodge, but I kept that one. That was, that was I had.
Yeah, because
That's
you're gonna be
actually a
giving
dope
away money.
idea.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's why I was hoping that it could spark the mindset, the ideas
Mm.
of other lodges, because eventually we're going to be doing some more of that, but where that should be the angle of doing it in the terms of now our brothers have investments, right? People that buys our items or something, or is handed over from a family member, is actual a valuable thing, not only historic but actually holds a value within the market. You actually hold
Mm-hmm.
something tangible, and that's always the key thing. So
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
at some points in history, some of our like lodges, jewels and stuff were actual the metal, what they
yeah,
were. You know, you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Mm.
So yeah, that's how it was at one time.
Yeah. So Don, what about you in terms of that internal fire, where it came from, or do you had to pump up other people as a leader, or pump yourself up as a
So
leader?
So initially coming into the craft, I really didn't have that fire. I was more so just happy being a brother, sitting on the sidelines and being a part of. But once I filled in as a senior warden and kind of saw the void, right? Like I came into this organization with very high expectations.
Mm.
So when I seen that void, like I was let down, and that's what sparked the fire in me to like try to be the change and fix things and kind of make it what, well, somewhat of what I expected, right? So I tell the brothers in my lodge, like, what I done in my 2 years, all I did was like fix what was wrong, in my opinion, and lay down the foundation for them to build upon,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now it's up to them to build a beautiful edifice. Everybody coming after me, I just laid the foundation. But it was like an uphill battle. I'm not gonna lie. Like the 2 years, like I did get a lot of I got a lot of backlash and like not support from the past masters. So a lot of the things that I did do that was outside of the box or that was new to that lodge, I did it in spite of them, you know? And I wouldn't say I had to pull certain qualities out of the membership, but just knowing that like as a leader, if you want people behind you to do 50% of what you do, like you gotta do a lot, right? Because people they're gonna mirror 50% of what you do. So you got to do a hell of a lot in order to get a good like a good participation from everybody else. So just keeping that in mind. That's why I was everywhere. That's why I was doing all of these things, because eventually people will kind of jump on the bandwagon and they want to be a part of the team, winning team, right? So they'll get it eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we still have a little bit of time, but I don't want to not talk about the story of Primus Hall UD, as a lot of us got the announcement during Grand Lodge session about y'all starting the new lodge, or in the process of a dispensation. So we definitely need to hear some stories about that. I mean, both of y'all was worship masters at the same time. Y'all both laid some time foundation, and I know Nate, who's will be the worship master of the UD Lodge now. He's also our classmates. And a lot of the brothers, like you mentioned, from Dawn's Lodge is there, and so a lot of the same energy from our years is being transported into.
We're gonna be honorary members. You didn't know we was gonna be honorary. We're gonna be the first two honorary members,
right? Exactly. So
that's a given.
yeah. Can we hear a little bit about that? Gabe, start the story on that.
Oh, okay. The story, the origins, as we will call it, the origins of Primus Hall. So, of course, it was birthed. The idea was birthed because during the last year, I'm not mistaken, of 2023, and it streamed from how the firm, and for the audience, the firm is basically the masters that was serving that year, like myself, Matt, Don, Mark, Nate, Milton, Mike. So we was traveling together, supporting each other, leaning on each other those 2 years. So it started to, we noticed the change we couldn't see in our respective lodges. And instead of just falling back, it was like, let's do something about this. Nate and Mike, they was discussing it because they was going through their things at the time, to the point where it was just like, what's the point of continuing moving forward in the terms of the organization? Then the idea came about to come together. So Don and I was included. So we began discussions of it, and the process. We started having like Zoom calls throughout the last year, 2023, just to get the ideas going, and flowing. Once we came out the chairs, because of course you can't be an elected officer and to go on the UD, or demit, as we call it, to leave basically to another lodge. So the first like Zoom, not the first, but one of the Zoom calls, it was the idea of like what the name, like we had to come up with a name, right, of the lodge. And we was all tasked that, the four of us, we was like, all right, we'll come back and come with the name. So I know for me, and I know Don will tell how his side, how he came up with the names, but I was thinking about Transformers, of course, Optimus Prime. And I love the story. I love the origins. I love just every principle he stands for good, looking out for his people, sacrificing his life for the better good of who's with him. And just the point of Prime being number one, like the primes. And that was resonating with me so much. I just couldn't shake it. That Wednesday, I'll never forget, Right Worshipful Les Moore, he put out the information for the Zoom call for the Doric Law study classes. And crazy enough, the one lecture I've never, and they was like at over 100 or so, something like that. The one lecture that was done that Wednesday was Primus Hall.
Okay.
And I was like,
Boom.
yeah, I was like, that's it right there. Looked it up, started
Tahuti, I
reading.
think that was. That's who gave that lecture. I think the dude that brother out of DC was it him?
I believe so. I believe so. I
Yeah.
can't remember. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that started it. That started to where I was like, I looked them up and I was reading it and I was like, this is everything that we are doing. Like this is like almost like a mimic of what we doing and stuff. It speaks volumes of the movement we're gonna do. And we reconvened, the four of us, and we sent out our names. And when they saw a Primus Hall and I explained, it was just like, okay, that's it. That was it. We are the primes. We are the primes. Because Primus Hall was a visionary. It was controversy to the point where they were saying that he was his son, was Prince Hall's son or not, because it was hard to keep track of data back then, of course. And of course, a lot of that stuff of slavery, they coming out of it, and the list goes on. So it was a lot of that controversy with that. But he was there for his people. He was an activist. He was there, like just a big name back then. So it was just like a done deal. So that's the premise of came to Primus Hall.
Nice, nice. Oh, and and you just say like we are the primes or whatever. You already got your nickname already done already. It sounds like
Don
that's
got the
already
jerseys already. They about to be printed up. As soon as they get a
Working on
number,
them.
as soon as they get a lodge
Working
number,
on
they're
them.
gonna be get the jerseys printed up. It's good to go.
Sit tight.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Don, you want to add anything to that story?
Yeah, so again, since like 2020, so 2020, we had a large group of brothers join Huntington Lodge through the occasional. We had about 12. So out of that 12, off the rip, like 7 of them fell off. So we had a few that would come to the lodge, and like I mentioned, we were going through tumultuous times. So they were like, "Yo, what did I get myself into?" And as opposed to just not being active and not showing up, they were ready to just quit masonry altogether or go demit and go to a different lodge. So like, I begged them to just hold on, have patience. Like I got some plans. I'm gonna try to make a difference. So please put your trust in me. Just sit tight, but I need your support. So they did. So that's the class that Reese came through. Reese, Pat, Andrew and Olden King, and Sean Porter. Like they're all making this transition to Primus Hall with me. They were all in that class. So during the first term, we're trying to rally the guys up, and we wanted to create a culture around Huntington Lodge. We wanted to create a nickname and all this cool stuff. But Huntington, how do you make that cool? Like you really can't create a culture around that. So the best thing I could have done was the jerseys, right? So we actually had a couple of discussions about it. Yeah, man, we're gonna start our own lodge. I mean, look at maybe some of it was in jest, but like we really wanted our own thing. Like we wanted to start our own thing. Again, when I came to this organization, I had high expectations, and I've been let down at every turn so far. So I just wanted to do more. You know what I'm saying? I want more community involvement. I want us to be like better financially, like lodges. We need to be more fiscally responsible. So when Nate and Mike called me with the idea of starting a new lodge, I didn't even have to think about it. I'm with it. Let's do it. What do you need from me? I ran to these guys and they were all with it. I sold them the dream and they bought. So here we are.
Love it. I mean,
mention brother's last
Speak-
name, so
speak up.
exactly no.
speak
Oh,
up,
you
Mark.
don't hear me?
Yep,
You don't
there
hear
you
me?
go.
I hear you.
Okay, I said just mention the brother's last name, so not exactly what we talking about, because we just saying Nate and Mike. So
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
For the
So
record, for the
Nate
history
Higgins-
record,
for the record,
for the history
exactly,
books.
exactly.
Yeah. So we have Nate Higgins, out of
Yeah.
Boyer Lodge #1.
Mhm.
Michael Nathaniel Francis Queen out of
Mhm.
Beacon Light 76.
They got y'all to get that right.
Yeah, I got to get it right.
Yeah.
And then from the brothers from Huntington, got
Yeah.
Maurice Baker, Patrick Powell, Andrew King, Alden King, and Sean Porter.
Mhm.
And real quick, I just wanted to shout out Marcus Paynes because we started talking about the
Mhm.
firm, and Gabe had mentioned just about
Oh,
everybody
yeah,
who was
definitely.
integral in the firm, and
Oh, yeah,
Marcus
that's
Paynes was
exactly.
Marcus.
definitely
Yeah.
like the
My
glue
fault,
holding
Marcus.
everything together. So shout
Yeah,
out to
yeah.
Marcus Paynes,
Yeah,
Celestial
shout out
Celestial,
to
Masters,
you,
and
brother.
celestial, yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
Celestial #3. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I thought you was gonna say something else. I mean, the brother that because I thought he was coming. I heard he was coming over too, and it was Kareem. Kareem was coming over with y'all.
Eventually, oh, you know what? I wanted to start the show off with that, man. I
Yeah,
wanted to
exactly,
actually,
exactly. Definitely, let's mention that.
yeah, I wanted to start it off with a moment of silence, man.
We can
Brother
do it
Kareem,
now.
we could do it now.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, Brother Kareem Wilson tragically lost his life about 2 weeks ago, man. Trying to keep the peace. He was gunned down, and his family actually held a memorial for him last night, and we had a good turnout. A lot of brothers from Huntington was there to support. They got to talk to the family, and the family got to see how Masons band together and really come out and support one another. So that was great. But eventually Kareem, he was like a little brother to me and Reese, and he was definitely gonna make that move to Primus Hall when the time was right. He was actually serving as the junior deacon of Huntington Lodge. So uh, I thought it would have been a good idea to let him finish the year out. Let us go through our process and then come back and scoop him up. Um, yeah, man. So shout out to Kareem, man. May God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, one moment. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was impactful. And I kind of laugh and smile and everything, so don't pay me no mind, people, even though I'm serious, that's how I am. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so speaking of that, and we don't have too much time left, I have one more question. What is your most proudest moment, Adam?
Out of the East?
Oh, Adam, we'll say in the East, out of the East, any way you want to mention.
So, yeah. In the East. How about that?
In the, it's in the
the
East,
East?
yeah, in the East, go in the East, yeah.
Okay. I actually have two. They're kind of tied, right?
Okay.
So my proudest moment is actually being installed as Worshipful Master. I think that's the greatest title you could hold in Blue House Masonry. I mentioned right Worshipful Nabar Colbert at a Doric Lodge. He actually did my installation. So to be one of my mentors and somebody that I looked up to in the craft install me, that was a prominent moment in my life. And then just being recognized on the large scale, and as was mentioned earlier, being awarded with Most Improved Lodge of 2022. So it's not a thing about me. It was the lodge getting recognition for the work we've been putting in. So that was dope to me.
Yeah.
Gabe?
Oh, it definitely is two that came to mind as well. One as the master, one after I came out the East. Of course, as Don touched on, was when I was installed as master, because also it was done in a church. Like we rented out the church. One of the brothers, he's a pastor of a church, Pastor
Brian?
Brian Gibbs, Brian
Mhm.
Ellis Gibbs.
Mhm.
So always thank him for that. But it was it was just the aura that was there. It was just a beautiful aura to where it was in the church and being installed in there. So that was one. And the second one was when I did the Grand Occasional third degree charge. And afterwards, because of my delivery, a few brothers came to me and it was like they just hugged me because that was being brought in that just initiated in and said I touched their soul. Like I touched them to the point where they understand masonry now. This is like they was like this was what they was looking for in masonry, to where I was able to have that effect on men that was coming in that was way older than me, men that I never met before, to where because of my delivery, because of my affection for the work, and my delivery of the work, it touched each and every one of them where they just came to me. And one in particular was brother Terrence Floyd, the brother of the late George Floyd. And he said to me, like, he was like, he's like, shook my hand and hugged, and he was like, you opened my eyes. He's like, you opened my eyes to this, to masonry. Like you resonated with me with that. So that was like one of the second greatest moments, to be able to touch those brothers, and even other grand occasions I've done to touch the brothers' lives. So.
You saying that just gives me the chills, because I know how you get down with the work.
Yeah.
So
I
just
appreciate
hearing that
that,
give
bro.
me chills.
Yeah, I appreciate
Definitely.
that, bro. Yeah.
Definitely. So, I think I got like two things before we wrap up here. The one thing is something that's evident. Again, I'm just gonna reiterate this, is that you brothers don't just talk about it. You guys are actually putting action in, putting in work, actually being the example. So I can show you better than I can tell you is really the theme for like this conversation. Um, is one thing to sit on the sidelines, one thing to have an idea, have a thought, keep it in your brain, to give your 2 cent or your 15 cent, as some people say. But you brothers have actually said, okay, I have an idea and I'm willing to execute it, even if nobody else is following me in this space. Like I've heard that, like you have a vision, you have a thought, and you want to see it come to life, and you're okay with sort of blazing the trail, even if you're walking that trail by yourself in the beginning, because you feel so strongly that people will come behind you as a result of that. Um, I don't know if you feel the same way about the role that action plays in terms of leadership, even if you have to be alone in the beginning. But I would love to hear your perspective about the role of actually taking action, um, versus the conversation. Like I know planning is a key point, key pillar in your framework, Don, in terms of leadership. And at the same time, you don't just plan, you actually execute on the plans. The trestle board don't just sit on the altar. It's actually a living document where you're actually working on it. So, I'm curious about your perspective on the role of action, and how might our organization benefit from taking a little bit more action, and less conversation. Or is there a balance? As always.
I think action is the key to success. You can have the greatest plan in the world, but if you don't execute on it, I mean, what are you doing? You're not accomplishing anything. So it's all about the execution. And just be bold enough to be the first one to do something, anything, take some kind of action. If everybody did half of what they say, like in these chats or in their lodge meetings, I think the organization at at large will be in a better position than we are right now. A lot of people doing too much of this, or they clout chasing, they want purple and gold. Like that don't mean nothing to me. Like let's get busy. Let's do some work. It's all about execution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think, Gabe, about that, about action's role in leadership?
Let your light so shine that men may see your good work. And now defining that is action, where it is 100%, where you do that work, it will speak for you. And it's lonely at the top. The greatest time of a man is when he's alone. That's when he could think. That's when he could come up with ideas. That's when even the negative aspects of his thought he's facing and conquering, as we should be doing, subduing our passions. Those are the moments and the times that we able to face those things. So now when we are traveling to that top, because we know that at the top we're going to have those lonely moments. We know that at the top we're going to have those moments where we look to our left and right, there's nobody there, but we still focused on the vision ahead, and our work will speak for us. You don't have to say a word at all, but your work will speak for us. That's the loudest thing that will speak for you.
Mm-hmm.
Don says it's 100% true, where everybody is always speaking, but no work behind it. There's an old saying that a loaded wagon makes no noise, an empty wagon makes noise.
Mm.
That's one of the key aspects of
Mm.
what it is at that time, and even still now,
You got
unfortunately.
Mark. You got him.
So
Nah, I'll let him finish.
so that's why it's really the action, action. And it's not to be the smartest person in the room, because if you are, you should be going to another room. And it's not to be the biggest person or anything like that. That's why honestly I don't like to wear my stuff like that unless if I'm working. I like to stay behind the scenes. I like to, just watch. I'm an observer. I'm quiet. Y'all know I'm quiet. So I like to observe and take in, to where now when it's time to work, best believe it's time to work by far. So, and especially when you have somebody like a Don, like how we be meshing together, doing degree works and stuff. And now you have somebody else. Now you know how far you're going. It's always said, if you want to sprint, you go by yourself. If you want to go for miles, you go with others. So, of course, action is the fundamentals of everything.
Well said.
Two things real quick. Definitely agree with what you said. I went off kind of like that because I was talking to Solomon Grant Inspector General Herman Simpson today, the deputy for New York, and he said that same thing about the empty wheelbarrow makes the most noise. So he said the same thing you just said today. So that's why I was like, oh, that's the second time I heard that.
Confirmation. Confirmation.
That's the Most High trying to say something to us right now. It's like that's a sign.
Exactly.
That's a sign.
And then when you were talking about like you don't really wear anything, when Don talks about like, I don't care about purple and gold, Gabe always is good with that because Gabe white apron. Gabe is a white apron man, so you'll never know what Gabe got. He's there to work and do his work and let his work speak for him. He don't need to come in there to let show off with all this other stuff. He'll come in there just with the white apron. I definitely appreciate that. And I know that I heard, well, I haven't seen it, but a great man, most worshipful past Grandmaster Daniel Simmons used to do the same thing. Where after he got out to sea, he'll show up to your lodge meeting and he's past grand in a white apron. Just come and hang out and he'll give his life or whatever, but he ain't got to show off because I'm this and I'm that. He let his work and his life speak for him.
Yeah. And personally, I don't care what you wear. I mean, you got your title, whatever. Just do the work. Like just work. Wear your purple and gold. Hell, you earned it. Somebody. I don't care if you wear it. I just want you to have something like actually do the work and actually move the organization forward.
Let that work match your purple and gold.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So no, I appreciate that perspective and that thought. I think all four of us are aligned in that regard. I don't think any one of us are the type of brother that sits on the sideline and just says like, "This is what I think we should do," but don't actually execute on something to move us forward. So that's what I appreciate about just our class and this sort of the era that we kind of come up in as leaders in the craft here for sure. The last question I have is the question that we like to ask a lot of folks around the fun times here, and so we're gonna act like you are in your current lodge. I know you're gonna be you're in Primus Hall Lodge UD. It's important that you think about yourself in your current lodge. If you were to go back into the East in Jephthah 89, Gabe, or in Huntington Lodge number 124, Don, in the year 2025, next year, say you weren't going into Primus Hall Lodge, but you were going back into the East in the lodge that you served as Worshipful Master. What's one thing that you will focus on in that year in 2025, knowing what you know about your lodge, the state of the craft, the brothers, etc.? What's one thing you will focus on?
You got it. Yep.
And
it might be hard because it's kind of like, I don't want to think about that right now, but it's important to kind of reflect on this. So the brothers who are listening, or if anybody else is paying attention.
No, but honestly, my brothers did ask me that before, like during this year. But if I were to go back in, it would be the unity, build back up that strength and unity, because I see it's like shaking right now to the point of like brothers is not too active like that. So it's really bringing back that unity within the lodge and strengthening those brothers back up.
And would it be consistent if you were to be worshipful master of Primus Hall, or would you focus on something different in Primus Hall?
Different, because it's a whole different monster. You know, every room is different. So
Mhm.
this is a whole different ballpark where Primus we're building. So this is the building stage.
Got it. All right. Don, thank you.
So if I was to go back in the seat in 2025 in Huntington 124, I would focus on building up the next generation of leaders, making sure that they understand everything that I had to teach myself or that I learned through Gary Davis's workshops. You know, understanding the Constitution, getting right with the ritual, just being an effective leader. I just try to instill that on everybody down line and just stress the importance of that. You know, that's it.
Okay. And would that be the same if you were master of Primus Hall in 2025?
Um, Honestly, I'd have to see what our weaknesses are. I'd
Okay.
have to, you know, and I'd strategically plan to fill those gaps.
All right. Cool. No, appreciate
Nice.
that. Appreciate the honesty. Thank you.
Thank
Mark,
you.
any other questions?
Nah, no other questions. Brothers, I just want to say I definitely am proud of you two brothers.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for what you have done for your respective lodges and for the craft on the whole, because both y'all has been an inspiration to the brothers coming up the line, other young brothers, to show them that you can do it. I want to thank y'all for suffering through the hard times of being worship master and not giving up.
Mhm.
Because we all know, it can be lonely, and it was lonely, and you still push through. You find some way, you find some support, and you got through it. And I'm definitely proud of you. And I look forward to your continued growth as men, as Masons, and together. I mean, I'm not there in New York particularly, but you know, we all gonna be there, keeping in touch, and you know, so definitely will continue to see y'all grow and develop by the will of God. Well, definitely want to thank y'all for being on the show today. Thank y'all for what y'all have imparted into us, the lessons in which you have given. When it came, like Dawn talked about being having adaptability, knowing your members, those 5 keys to effective leadership, planning / vision, promptness, starting on time, and keeping your meetings short and effective, being organized and having organization, being an inspiration for your brothers, because you definitely need that in order to keep that fire going in the brothers and keep them coming out and moving, and having that encouragement for your brothers at the same time, and setting your members up for success. That's a very good key and it's not remembering that being worship master is not just about you and your time. Is you also have to think about the future of your lodge at the same time. So setting your members of success is very important. Gave your keys as far as listening to your members and being the last to speak, hearing what they say and listening to them to get a clear understanding and having them buy into your vision and having them feel like they're actual members, and everything that we do is part, focusing on who is there and who's not there, because we always have that issue. Like, you know, we count, oh, like you said, you got 70 members, but only 15 show up, but you have to feed those 15 members. Because as that poem goes, you know, the 10 Master Masons, as you feed those 10, it can grow into the 70 that's strong coming out. So I want to definitely thank y'all for that lessons, and I have learned something from y'all, and we'll thank you.
For sure. Much appreciated, brothers. Definitely want to, again, also reiterate that the thanks and appreciation for all you do. I hope that we can get to the point that we don't even have to refer to our time in the East as like struggling through, or we made it through the East. It's like you want to, there's some masters that we interview that say, man, it was the best time of my life. But there's a lot of us that say like, yo, the struggle was real.
I know I was lucky.
So,
I know
you
I
know,
was lucky.
you know, some of us are very fortunate, and some of us, you know, we learned and we grew through that process. But I'm hoping and praying. My wish is that this platform allows the next generation of leaders coming up at least be able to have a little bit of insight and heads up. You know, everybody got to go through their own trial and tribulations, their own fire and their own process at the same time. If we can make it a little bit easier, that would be a fantastic accomplishment for this platform. So with that, again, I just want to thank you, brothers. I appreciate you, brothers. Love y'all. Much respect for everything that you do. and the path that you blaze for us, for sure. Mark, you
Man,
have
and I
something?
mentioned something this real quick because it kind of slipped my mind and it came back when we talked about being lonely in the top. If anybody want to study or like feel lonely or whatever, you into philosophy. So I messed with Friedrich Nietzsche because I have a couple of podcasts I listened to and he came through. And, you know, that's when you really get like being alone. You can get your own ideas because a lot of the times, a lot of the ideas we have actually come from other people and things like that. So that time alone you can get into your own mind and separate and things like that. So look into Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. Wisdom dwells in contemplation. So you need to sit down and be still for a little bit. And also,
Mhm.
if it's lonely at the top for too long, how good are you as a leader, though, to be honest
Yeah,
with you? So
yeah,
yeah, you can be lonely for a little bit, but it can't be lonely for too long. I mean, ain't nobody with you.
Brother, I ain't got no fruit. Ain't no fruit by the barren
So,
tree
you
out
know,
there.
it is lonely for a
It
moment.
is
And then
facts. It is
hopefully if
facts.
everything works out, you get somebody up there with you, even if it's some other leaders in other places that
Yeah,
have
definitely,
a similar
definitely.
experience. So with that, brothers, much appreciated. For those who are listening, a lot of gems dropped tonight, a lot of good conversation. Please like, subscribe to the channel, like this episode, share it with anybody, any and all people, whether they're in the craft or not in the craft, who may have some value or receive some value from the conversation from this evening. Hopefully what you heard today will inspire you to grow in your leadership journey. Again, whether you're in the craft or not in the craft, the world needs leaders, and it starts by being able to lead ourselves. It is impossible to lead other people if you cannot lead yourself. So please take the tools that you learn here to build yourself into just an even better leader for yourself, your family, and your community. And with that, we appreciate you and have a good night. God bless.